Hello and welcome to this special third anniversary episode of the Foundry Roundtable, the podcast exclusively covering the Foundry for Star Trek Online. I'm your host, Drogyn1701, and with me are my two co-hosts, the guys who have been with me the entire time, putting up with my frequent schedule changes and lack of planning. So please... many thanks to Greendragoon and Markhawkman.
We were just talking about our lack of plans.
Exactly. So I wrote it into the intro.
Yeah.
Throughout everything I had planned.
That was an interesting intro.
Mm-hmm. Which I should tell you, I mean, I usually I do plan the intro. And that's about the only thing I have planned. Except for, stuff that's floating around in my head. But because this is our third anniversary episode, we wanted to do something special, so we have with us ZeroniousRex from Cryptic.
What's up, guys? Woo! Happy birthday!
Thank you very much. Zero, what is your title these days?
Producer.
Producer.
Just producer, no superlative.
Ah.
Next up is studio head. Okay, not really.
But that's the ultimate goal, right? Is world domination.
Well, I think the ultimate goal is to just not have to work and somehow just get a lot of money. So
you just described the American dream right there.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I suppose.
Well, our chat room is definitely saying you're a super producer, even if it's not a superlative.
Ugh. Guys are...
We are that, yes. We are cruel and ungrateful and full of requests for things, obviously. That's what we do. Anytime we interact with you, it's usually because we want something, right?
I mean, that's the story of a woman's life. Just kidding, guys. I love you.
Well, luckily, the only thing we want from you tonight is entertainment.
You're going to be sorely disappointed. Maybe.
Maybe
I'll pull a thing like I did with Timberwolf and accidentally restart my computer mid-stream.
Yeah. Quotes, accidentally.
It was an accident. Or you could say stupidly. I will give you that, but it wasn't intentionally.
That's okay. I've had my fair share over the years, looking back of... I know at least, I think, 2 incidents of me trying to hit the mute button and accidentally hanging up on the call. Which was pretty funny when I used to do the recording on my end.
Yeah. Oops.
Well, as the technical guy now, everything is my fault.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, I remember one time I think we lost, the first third of an episode one time?
Was that the one where we were trying to, the April Fool's show? Were we trying to record the, when you put the original build on Red Shirt, and I tried to do a live stream of it, and then
maybe
halfway through it crashed the streamer.
Oh, the good old days.
The good old days. That was a lot of fun, by the way.
Yeah.
Even if it was just for one night, it was a little fun going back to the original build.
It was great. It was actually, I may have told a slight fib, because it was actually a build from about 2 weeks after we launched.
Well.
Because, we had fixed some of the more egregious crashes by then.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
I remember a few.
The first one was nearly unplayable. Or so I've heard. I wasn't actually there.
Yeah, it was, so if I remember correctly, what happened is we were pleasantly surprised with the number of people that showed up to play. and our servers were, I mean,
Unprepared?
yeah, tired, apparently.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Well, I turned up in open beta, which for the first couple of days was completely unplayable. It was just so laggy, probably because there were so many people trying to get into it. And I mean, by the actual launch, I remember it being pretty okay.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
But here we are,
The more
many
you know.
many years later.
How long is it? Is it the Foundry's older than 3 years, though, isn't it?
It is 5 years.
5 years old,
it
I think.
Came up right around the first anniversary.
Yeah.
No, really?
Mm-hmm.
If I remember that it was, I think it was added as part of season 3, wasn't it, or something like that?
Well, it certainly
I don't
was
know
before
exactly when.
season 4.
Yeah.
I can. Captain P.F. Dennis, who has a much better memory than the rest of us, says March 11th, whenever that was. But I can look this up.
Yeah, he's right. The official live. Well, that was the official live on Holodeck. Was March 11.
Oh, man.
Of what year? 2011?
It'd be probably, 2011.
Yeah,
There's no way it was
2011.
10. Definitely
that was
2009.
launch.
Right out.
Trying to quickly do math in my head.
All right, well, before we do anything else, I have a map to show off real quick for our live stream here. This is something I've been teasing on Twitter and on the forums, so I thought I would show everybody the current build. So we start off in this big room here, which is going to eventually include a nightclub, which I have based on the... I keep forgetting the name of it, but one of the clubs in Mass Effect 3. I'm a big Mass Effect fan, so I always like that sort of techno club vibe. So there's going to be a big round room, the nightclub in the middle, and sort of some different tiered areas below. I'm going to try and do what I can with lighting, using like the Starburst assets and fire lighting just to create some cool, like, animated looking stuff. But obviously, this is the biggest part that's the work in progress right now. As you can see, this is not a completely round room because I have basically, to save assets, I'm hoping to not have to show this other end of the big round room. I'm going to obscure that with something else here in the middle.
Like
basically-
a giant bar or something, or
Yeah.
stage maybe.
Pretty much. Because what I'm doing is this whole thing is going to be sort of round. You're on a round space station, and I'm only showing 90 degrees of that arc. I tried to show 360 degrees in my very first build, and it added up to something like 400 assets just for that, and I couldn't build anything inside or trick it out with anything, so that wasn't going to work at all. All right, so follow me down the hallway here. There's a little platform, and then into some hallways. I got some docking ports at the end of these hallways, which are at the cardinal points of this circle. And then on the exterior here, we got this nifty circular hallway, which I'm going to have merchant stalls and all kinds of people, NPCs walking along. And this goes 90 degrees. All the way around.
This kind of reminds me
And
of a
the-
map we're making now.
I I can neither
Yeah,
confirm
my
nor
team
deny
name.
that I flew a drone up to the window of your studios. I'll tell you one thing, Zero. It gave me a perfect opportunity to use the brand new asset that you got added to the Foundry with the last patch, which is the Dyson Sphere door.
Wait, did I the one that opens?
No.
Oh,
You had one
that'll
that
come out
closed.
soon.
So
I have the. I'm trying to get the separate prop piece so that you can put the door, that opens, just like we have the other. You know, the walls with the doors that open already.
yes,
Am I making sense?
absolutely.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
an opening version of this door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Which would be very useful.
Coming soon. Dun, dun, dun.
But yeah, so this is my nifty little space station that I've been working on off and on. The biggest the biggest challenge was actually working out how to do this floor. I found this screenshot of a floor like this online. I was just looking around for different space stations that I could try and like replicate. Something that looked cool and different that we hadn't really seen in the Foundry, in this sort of two-tone floor with the glass and something under it, was something I'd never seen before in the Foundry. So I thought, maybe I can do this.
Okay, so it's the Romulan glass and the rubber bump floor.
Yeah, knurled is, I think, the word. And then that green Romulan glass seemed to fit really well with the science walls.
That's beautiful.
Yep, same color. Ish.
Now, the funny thing, of course, is there's no glass here on the exterior. Because there's no glass that fits, there's no curved or angled glass that fits these struts or whatever they're called. So I just put some invisible walls there and just hope sort of people will just go with it. Kind of have to do that a lot in the Foundry. You just sort of have to build what you can and sort of hope people go with it.
I guess you could put the
invisible
glass in a square, and then just have the curves adjust the arches adjust the curve.
No, it wasn't really going to work that way. It just looks better if there's nothing there and you just sort of assume there's either like a force field or maybe just sort of very non-reflective glass.
I'm sure what you mean to say is transparent aluminum.
I'm told that transparent aluminum is not very reflective at all, so that's perfect for this. Apparently, transparent aluminum is a real thing now.
Yes, I saw
John, we
that
just
on
learned
Reddit.
about.
I was like, holy cow, we're in the future.
Well,
they use it on the International
talk-
Space Station.
If you're talking about aluminum oxynitride, that stuff is. What's the best way to put this? It's a lot like silicon dioxide in its transparency. It's just a lot more durable.
Apparently, very durable. They use it for bulletproof glass too.
Yep.
But anyway, so I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to use this for yet. It's just one of those things where I'm sort of building without a clear purpose, other than just to make something cool. Which, there's virtue in that, I suppose.
Making cool things is fun.
Yeah, making cool things is fun.
I just realized you could totally have a full-size ship docked at one of these ports.
That has occurred to me as well, and I'm going to do it at the very end because I'm not sure where this is going to come out with regards to the object budget. I have already filled up the object budget for buildings, and now I'm working on for detail assets. It's well over 300 at the moment.
Yeah, it's really tight. But luckily, those ships only count as one.
True. But I've gotten to the end of a map before and needed that one. Specifically, actually, the map that Dragoon will be getting to hopefully in a couple episodes down the line when he reviews my final episode in the Photonomy series. And you'll probably know the one I'm referring to when you get there. So we'll revisit that later. But in any case, let's see. I should update everybody on how our exploration project is going. For Zero and anybody else listening in who doesn't know about this one, the Foundry community is kind of coming together to make an anthology of exploration missions. They're all going to start from the same place, and we are sort of inventing a new starbase, like the Klingons, Romulans, and the Federation have all come together to build this new starbase, and they're using it as a base to send out people on exploration missions, which we're all going to build. These missions, they won't be really related to each other unless people want to do that, but they will all have some kind of exploration theme. And what we're doing right now in the process is over the last couple episodes, we've been building our starbase using Foundry assets, of course. We did a space map and we did an interior map, which I'm sure Dragoon is still probably tweaking because that's how he does things.
I may have been somewhat distracted this week on account of half my week was spent out of town, but
well, we all know how that goes. But let's see. We have a name finally for our starbase. We're going to call it Starbase Magellan. I took nominations from the Foundry community on the forums, and then we did a poll and got Starbase Magellan for a name. And we also have the tag that we're going to use. We picked 3 letters to put on the front of our missions as a tag that people can search for in the search interface. And we're going to use the tag AEI, which stands for Alliance Exploration Initiative, which is also on the banners that Starfarer Theta made for us. So the next step is going to be creating a command crew for our space station. These will be NPCs that people have been nominating, and we're going to do some votes on. And they can serve as mission givers or dialogue contexts or anything like that if people want to use them in their mission. And once that's done, we will be pretty well in a position to start building.
and I will include a link to this nomination thread in the show notes.
Yeah, because we're gonna get started with voting for those NPCs pretty soon here. We already got a couple people building, which is awesome. But you know, we've had great luck with these. What do you call it? Anthology projects before. I think people really got into building for a series where they didn't have any restrictions on them.
Yeah.
When we did the Iconian War one, we got like 30 some odd missions built for it. Because there were no restrictions. You know, you didn't have to follow any plot. You didn't have to do anything like that. You just had to build a mission around a theme, and you were automatically part of the project.
That's one thing I noticed with the Foundry challenges is the most popular Foundry challenges were typically the most open-ended ones.
Mm-hmm. I did some data gathering on the Foundry challenges and found exactly that, Mark, that the most popular ones were the ones that were very open-ended.
Popular in what sense? Just the ones with the highest participation?
Yes.
Well, what I did is that, you know, I went and looked at all of the old ones and looked through, and there were sort of two different types. There were ones that were a bit more narrowly framed, where you know, Brandflex mostly did all these, and he gave people like a huge paragraph of stuff from which to build their mission, and then there were ones where he gave them one sentence. And so I went and asked everybody. I did a poll on the forums just late last year, and said, which one do you prefer? And most people said they preferred very open-ended, very few restrictions. All right. So that's what we have going on right now.
I mean, personally, I never actually participated in any of the tightly restricted ones because I read over the little brief he did and like, I can't think of a good mission concept to come up with for that. So
I think the latest one was that we did around New Year's last year was there wasn't too many restrictions on that. It was just make a New Year's mission, something about New Year's.
Yeah, that one was. People came up with all sorts of interesting things for that one.
Mhm.
I found at work recently, honestly, and I can't remember when you're going to see this, so I'm not going to give details. Maybe it's already on holodeck. I don't even know. There is an NPC. We call them critter groups, right? So an enemy group, and it was supposed to have been the scope for this was that we were going to make one enemy encounter group, and then the designer used 3, and that didn't exist. So obviously we don't have time on the schedule to make all these. So what happened is we were behind in the not behind, but we couldn't support it on the art side. So we couldn't get a lot of effects for it, right? So that it's all new, sparkly, shiny stuff. And we didn't have a lot of time on the systems design side either. So I said, okay, guys, normally we have our brainstorms and the sky's the limit. But this one I went in, I'm like, look, I don't like to rain on our parades to start with, but here's the problem. You get, the amount of time I gave them was, say, 1/3 they'd normally get for effects, like maybe a quarter. And we brainstormed around that, and I'm just like, so this doesn't mean we can't do stuff. I said it means that they can get 1 or 2 super new things, but the rest should be existing. It's actually turned out to be one of my favorite groups that we've made recently. They're just really fun because we were limited in what we could do, and so it forced us to look at what we had already differently and see how we could tweak it to be a new experience somehow. But
I think you just described the experience of being a Foundry author.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at what you have already and trying to take it and combine it in new ways to be a new experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's really I don't say this as because I've said before that I think that actually it's boundaries that where you'll get your most creative work because you're trying to work within limitations. But it's honestly everybody involved is yeah, actually these turned out great. They're super fun. And I was like, we should actually do more things like this because I mean, you guys have a lot of experience with this, but in a studio you don't have to face it as much where you're having to make do with existing stuff. A lot of the time it's new, and I thought it was a really good thought practice and creativity practice to try and do that.
So am I correct in believing that this is not the not cool?
No, not the Nakul.
No, they were definitely new.
No, the group I'm talking. Yeah. Oh, wait. Remind me how you see the Nakul.
Well, we see them as some ground NPCs now, and then we just in the newest episode we saw them their ships for the first time.
I got to blow up about half a dozen of them.
Yeah.
So have you fought any of them on the ground?
No.
No, I think it was mostly
I don't think so. Yeah, it was mostly Crenum.
Okay, so the Crenum is the group I'm talking about. Space and ground. But
they're fun.
I thought they were a really solid group, but we decided to, I think we thought our focus was science-y, if I remember. But
Yeah.
I think it may have moved slightly away from that. But it was
I know they shoot all kinds of rainbow things at me and do this thing, and then they do this thing where it makes the ship images of the ship oscillate around and
because they're time pirates.
Yeah. No, it all fits. It's great. I love it.
No, the Nakul actually were a nightmare of a group. We had someone helping us out. He been working on a different project, and so he came over, and that was his first thing that he was doing. Now he's like been with the company for ages and ages, like really senior, but he hadn't ever worked on Star Trek, and perhaps unsurprising, even though it's the same backend and same editor, we go about building our enemy groups differently, and so the amount of iteration we had to do on those because it was his first thing. We totally discounted the fact like how long it would take somebody to not to learn the tools. He knew the tools perfectly, but to learn how we did things and how the gameplay was. So it was almost like he had to unlearn a bunch of stuff, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a paradigm shift between the different cryptic properties.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like Champions Online, the mini-map is built in sections so that when you walk to a different room, it will hide the mini-map for that room until you enter the room.
Mm-hmm. We have some places like that. I think if you think about, the old Kronos ground, really old one. Ugh.
Well, that was different because, see, the Stowe engine on ground will hide and reveal things based on altitude.
Yep.
It will show you a slice of the map for your altitude, but it doesn't break it up based on how far east or west you are, just how far up and down.
Huh.
I would never claim to know how those things work on the back end, but I can imagine because you're on 3 different code branches, right? Of even though they're all based on this engine.
Well, Champions
three very different things.
is very. We basically they get very little new code. Neverwinter and STO have very similar code bases.
Mm.
It's just a matter of how we build maps. You have to think that. I mean, number one, Neverwinter doesn't have the concept of a space map.
No, it wouldn't.
I was going to say.
Although I keep fighting.
That would make it really interesting.
I keep fighting like that. We should have a mission where you're like you go to the holodeck and then you're doing a simulation that's set in some kind of dungeon where you're fighting some kind of dragon, and like it actually is Neverwinter.
Yeah.
But everybody.
You've got the assets for it,
right? Apparently, it's actually we'd have to get buy-off from both CBS and Wizards of the Coast to do
that'd
something
be hard.
like that.
That sounds
yeah.
painful.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I always
But
thought
it's-
it would be a.
Go
Sorry,
on.
go ahead.
It will probably be easier to get Wizards of the Coast to let you have this kind of like an astral plane sort of thing where your character takes on the appearance of some sort of ship as they move around the astral plane.
I think actually not.
No?
I think because CBS has been pretty good for you guys, haven't they?
Oh, they're great, and actually for Neverwinter, Wizards of the Coast is fantastic too. But they're both rightfully very protective of their IPs,
And would be a bit leery of crossover, I imagine.
Well, I mean, I actually think getting CBS to see like that as a hollow simulation, I actually think that wouldn't be that difficult because, I mean, you got to think Janeway with all her visits to Leonardo and, Data is freaking Holmes and anyway, with all of that. And then you even have the originals, you got Trelane and he's just like legit. That's not a hollow program. That's just him. And so I think like they have this history of that. I think you could convince them, but I think the reverse is going to be slightly less possible.
Well, what I was thinking about with the astral plane, though, is it wouldn't necessarily be things that look like Star Trek ships, just like ships of some sort.
There's one where you like maybe you become the dragon and it flies like a ship in Stowe, but you're up in the sky instead of space. There you go. That's how you do it.
That may work.
You sprout wings or something. Flying mounts, griffins. Do people ride griffins in Neverwinter? I forget what Forgotten Realms. Isn't that?
If I remember right, all of the mounts in Neverwinter are things that walk.
Yeah, because it'd be a whole new animation thing.
Oh yeah,
I know they have
I'm sure
owl bears.
many new things.
That's close to
There you go.
not what you said.
Well, owlbears don't fly, do they?
No.
I remember I was playing World of Warcraft when they added flying mounts, and they had to. First, they only had it in a specific area that was built for it, and then they opened it up for the rest of their original game world, and they had to completely redo the whole thing because, of course, it wasn't meant to be seen from the sky originally.
Yeah. That'll be kind of like enabling us to use floaters in Hathon. I learned enough about the way the Hathon map is constructed by finding ways to walk on the building rooftops that I can just imagine what a nightmare it would be to enable floater access.
Yeah, Taco put the invisible ceiling up there for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a forum thread the other day that says everybody hates Bajor, and I'm thinking to myself, what? No, that's a great map. That's a brilliant map. I love it. I mean, I don't go there a lot, but it's a great map.
Yeah. Did you see the other version of Bajor? I can't remember.
The Mirror Bajor?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that was put in with the Cardassian mission revamp.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So, see what you have
Which
to
has been there for a while.
understand is that right now, when did we finish the anniversary episode? In
I guess it was like 6 months ago.
September? It was like September or maybe October. And we've been working on some stuff that will be released. Well, I guess I should give a timeline. Later this year. So I have no clue. Like, I get so lost at what has gone live already and what has not. Because it's really like...
I can see how that would happen.
Other people finish the work, and you may notice, but then you forget.
Yeah. No,
Because you're working so far ahead.
So I will tell you that it was the same sprint. We do 6-week sprints. That this episode, Time and Tide, was made, and the next featured episode that you guys will see. I'm not going to say when, because that's probably a secret. But the next one you'll see, they were both made at the same time. So when it comes out, you'll say, "Oh wow," because yeah. Anyway, also it was really confusing for reasons that I can't say.
We might figure it out eventually, though, I suppose.
Once it goes live, you could bring me back and ask me about it. And then I'll forget
I have
even
noticed,
having this
though,
conversation. Sorry, go on.
I have noticed, though, certain missions that, they might not come out at the same time, one after the other, but they seem like they were probably built at the same time, sort of, like they do in like the Lord of the Rings movies are all filmed at once, even if they weren't all released at once. Like the first 2 episodes of this arc, which were Sunrise and Stormbound, I would bet those were built probably around the same time, right? Because they were kind of a through plot line, and yeah.
Well, I will say this though. So we had the story through most of this year, and we had from starting with wrapping up starting with the beginning of the Iconium War stuff that Delta Rising, the stuff that came out after that, through the stuff that will release later this year, through most of this year, was done before we started on the Iconium War stuff. So we have all that story, and we get down to the nitty gritty of how exactly it's going to break up into episodes, but we know the whole thing, and so actually I think they're planning out now what's going to happen
in 2017,
in the end of this year. I don't remember when exactly the release is. Not that I would tell you.
I wouldn't say that you know exactly because that would imply that you know whether it will be delayed.
True. No, that of
Yeah,
course.
subject
I
to
can tell you.
change.
I can tell you. I could say that I know when it's planned to go out, but even that I actually don't remember. I mean, I have a rough idea, but
It's okay. I have a similar problem. I run a newspaper in real life, and I forget what I've written as soon as I've written it. Because I'm on to the next thing. So I have a question for you. You guys have a new writer on staff, is that right?
We do, yeah.
We had Kestrel on the show once, and we liked her very much. So we were very curious about the new writer. So tell us about this person.
Well, if any of you watched the I posted about this for Extra Life. There was one of the guys I work with, Ryan. Actually, that's the funny thing. His very first thing that he made is the thing that you're going to see next. So it's going to be like a really long time before he sees anything he's made go live. But he started not too long before Extra Life, as did our writer, and so that they did like 24-hour D&D session, and the writer was one of those guys that did that. So
Is her name Kate Bankston?
Oh no, Kate? No, she's Shalana. She's been with Cryptic for eons. She used to work on Champs.
She's a content developer, right?
Yeah, she did. Well, I don't know, Surface Tension or she either did that or she did Sphere of Influence, which is the one where you're setting up the conference room. That was her.
Surface Tension.
Okay, because I can't keep them straight. I don't know. They're not that similar at all. It's the names. But the writer his name's Paul. He's great. He's still finding his feet, right? Like, because we have an existing voice, and so I'm sure you guys would be able to experience this. But if you have one person writing everything, it's going to sound cohesive. If you have like each person writing a different part, it's really going to be obvious. Not necessarily who wrote what, but that they were different writers. And so he's got his own voice that we're trying to edge him away from. Not to try and write like Kestrel, that's not going to happen. But to lean more towards STO writing. So
you always kind of put your own voice into it,
right?
Even if you don't intend to.
Right. One of the most amusing things I've seen someone do that they actually kind of exploited that feature is to, as a way of emphasizing, I guess you could say, how two different storylines were different. They had basically had two different people write about the same thing from two different points of view. Which I guess you'd be like having one writer write a Klingon version of something and a different person write the Federation version.
Yeah.
We just finished and released a 6-part series where we had 5 different authors do the episodes, and you can definitely see that. I mean, I did the final part, and my style of writing and building the maps and everything is very different from how the other guys do things. So yeah, we definitely we know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's I think it's fascinating. So he's great. Like he's getting really into it, and he's actually learning the editor right now too, so he can not just write, but do make little missions and stuff too.
Cool.
So we're excited about that, and really great guy. He's I mean, I can't give details really about what's going on for reasons that are I can't say, but spoilerific reasons.
Understandable.
But it's really a tough job. Christine had big shoes to fill, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I still miss her.
Well, you know, the things that interest Foundry authors the most tend to be writing and map design. So can I just say that how awesome the map design was in this last episode in Time and Tide?
Right? That's
Oh,
new
but
environment artist.
But by the way, there's always something that gets added to that every time you talk to Foundry authors about new maps.
Mm-hmm.
Because we always want the newest one.
Yeah. No, that's a new environment artist. That was his first work for us. It was just like he was just honestly a little bit of an old overachiever.
Those
Sounds
are
like
the best
you're in
kind.
here.
Well, it is and it isn't. I think it would have not been so overachieve-y if he wasn't also trying to learn. He was used to using Maya, and we used 3ds Max, so that
This
was
really sounds like me. Did I
Yeah.
get hired by Cryptic and not realize it?
I tried to learn Maya back in the day, and I just couldn't quite get it myself. So I am highly envious and respectful of anyone who has been able to learn any of those programs.
Yeah, they're.
I did not take to it.
What was I using way back in the day? I don't even think it's around anymore. Who knows?
Probably
Well,
makes your other environment artists jealous, though, and they're going to try and do even grander and more awesome things.
Wait till you see the next episode.
By the way, it's halftime. Denver 13, Carolina 7. Thank you, Pax Federatica, for keeping us updated. I don't care at all about football. But I did grow up in Colorado, so I have, just the tiniest little bit of loyalty to the Broncos.
I'm hoping the 49ers will win.
Win what is the question?
The Super Bowl. I mean, seems to me as likely as me caring about the result.
Exactly. Thankfully, most of our little circle of people here don't care much either, so they're here watching us instead.
Yeah, I was surprised. So I just came back from the climbing gym. Thanks, guys, for being patient. Anyway, and I thought for sure that it would be busy because, I mean, I guess I just thought that the climbing community and the football community probably didn't overlap much. But actually, no, the gym was empty. It was glorious.
I have to say, I love tread walls. Those things are a lot of fun to go on.
I haven't done one. I wore myself out today. I was there because I knew I was leaving earlier than everyone else. So I was there doing bouldering, and then once my friend showed up, then we were doing top rope climbing, and I did this one right before I left that I was just like, oh gosh. I was slightly short for it, so I was having to do almost full splits to get, try and pull myself over. Anyway, that's not Foundry related. Geez, guys, why did you start talking about this?
That's all right. We like tangents here. We
You know what I'm trying to build for you guys? Maybe I shouldn't say because I've had nothing but failure. I'm trying to
Failure
make
is
an empty
always an
map.
option.
It's just going to be
You are a wonderful person.
empty with the ground.
So what are your challenges with this?
I'm crashing every time I try and edit.
Well, you'd mentioned in the Priority 1 interview that you were having issues.
Yeah. Well, I'm the only one it's happening to. So, I'm not going to waste my programmer's time. But
It can't be as simple as, walking up to somebody else's computer and opening that thing and saving it, right?
no, it's really because it's all on my hard drive.
Gotcha.
But also, I don't know what I'm doing as much as I could because it's not really part of my main job. If that makes sense. So
Sure.
That's the other part of the problem. But I am working on it, getting a completely empty map that has, well, not completely, because it has to have a ground, or you wouldn't be able to really put stuff. But that way, you'll be able to build your epic sky malls and stuff.
Yeah. That is absolutely one of the most useful things we could have.
Right, like 4 years too late, I know, but I'm trying. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Never
better
too late
late
for
than
new
never,
assets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're always super happy when we get anything, even as small as a door.
Yeah.
We love doors.
Okay.
And walls.
And walls. Actually, you want to make Foundry authors like happy is walls.
Okay. Like the
So-
kit pieces.
Yeah.
That's what you-
Yes.
Okay.
We- Kit pieces are awesome for making cool outfits.
Well,
No,
that's
no,
not what I
they're
meant by
different
kit.
kit
pieces.
But yes, both true.
No, we've been bugging Taco for the kit pieces for a while.
So, one of the things I was going to ask you tonight, Zero,
Mm-hmm.
is do you have any questions for us? Is there anything you ever wanted to know about Foundry authors and sort of what we do and how we think about things?
Well, you're a writer, right? Don't you do sports writing? Do I have that right?
Sports and news and what have you?
So you do. I know you do a lot of racing stuff, right? They
A
see
little
that?
bit, yeah.
Yeah. So how can
You're
you
talking about my Twitter profile, which is sort of a joke.
So how can? Well, no, because you were tweeting about it yesterday. Something about F1. I paid attention.
I just watch. I don't do any racing or anything. I just watch and
How
Enjoy.
can you be a sports writer and not like football? How does that work? Is there like a conversation you have to have with people? Like, okay, look, full disclosure, I have, I'm on medication for something, and it's like, look, I gotta warn you, just up front, not a football fan. Like, is that a conversation you have to have?
well, not being a fan of something and being able to write about it are two very different things. When I grew up, I was not a sports fan. I was into other things. I was into games. I was into, I was marching band in high school. I wasn't on the sports teams. But I grew up in a house with a lot of sports fans. And, I learned all of the rules and everything of football and baseball and other stuff, basically from hearing my brother and my dad yell at the TV screen growing up. So I know all these things. And then I took this job in a small town. I'm in a town of 4,500. And we have a very small staff at the newspaper, so I write news, and we don't have a sports person, so I write sports. So, I have the knowledge necessary, even if it's not my favorite thing in the world to go sit at a football game and watch the home team lose. But I can do it.
Okay.
And
so
actually,
wait,
I even sort of enjoy it sometimes.
what is your favorite sport to watch and or report on?
To watch and report on, probably baseball.
Really?
I used to go to a lot of baseball games as a kid.
It's all kinds.
Yeah, but it's not it's not something that I follow or am generally interested in when it's not on the job. But I am a big racing fan, and I sort of developed into one a couple years ago. I saw a funny thing the other day. Some celebrity tweeted, the thing about being an adult is you can choose what you're into, and that's exactly what I did. I just sort of one day woke up and I said, I'm choosing to become a racing fan. And so I got into it. Now I'm really into it. I'm watching all different kinds of it, and there were 2 big races on yesterday that I was watching and tweeting about. So.
Right, like I said, I paid attention. See,
Yeah.
I watched them go right by.
And probably didn't understand a word of it.
No, I got something about the thing, and at the time I paid attention. Look, I don't remember. I can't
Don't worry,
remember
that's
what
about all I
tweeted,
get from
let
it either.
alone-
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I have these sort of 2 communities of Twitter followers, and there's the Stowe people, and then there's the racing people, and I probably neither of them understand the other when I'm tweeting. So,
And I'm there in the middle, and I don't understand either. Okay, guys. You got? Are you all sports peoples? Drogyn answered me, but
I don't really pay much attention to sports. I've heard enough about sports that I know the difference between a quarterback and a cornerback, and I know
That
enough
took me
that
a long
if
time.
I'm watching a football game, I know how to tell which team is winning and which one is losing, but I don't choose to watch football on a regular basis.
I think
What
I
do you-
used to watch a lot more basketball as a kid, but I've kind of fallen out of it.
basketball.
Well, I live in
Nobody
Indiana,
watches
so
No. Basketball makes
That
sense.
is big
it
in
moves.
Indiana.
Things happen. You know. Football, just a bunch of guys jumping on each other, and the fact that you even have a concept of a first down that takes 4 downs to make a first down. Obviously, they can't count because the first one is the first one. I mean, hello. Basketball, at least, it's like you bounce the ball and then you put it in the hoop. You know. Personally, I like hockey, except not really. But if I'm gonna like a sport, I'm gonna like hockey because it's always moving and my brothers play. Not
You'll be
Yeah, I'll-
popular with you'll be
I'll watch
popular
it
with
if
our
somebody I know
listeners,
is
though.
in
We
it.
got a lot of Canadians that listen to the show.
Oh, we got a lot of Canadians, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So guys.
Yeah, sure.
Oh no,
you
wait,
betcha.
never mind. The one saying I know is explicit. Forget it. It's not inappropriate. It's just explicit.
We're probably a family show, so
Yeah, I'm assuming. Apologies. If
Hypothetically.
I'm
we try and keep it mostly clean.
Well, damn it! You should have told me. I didn't shower after I went to the gym yet. I raced. You know, we're mostly clean. I guess that you,
Mostly.
the rest of you are.
We'll plead the fifth on that one.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Let's see. Any other questions? So it's kind of known that I have a large family. Do you guys have like a lot of siblings? We'll take fight amongst yourselves for who answers first.
6.
Well, I know for one thing that Dragoon has a brother because he made our awesome music for our intro.
do in fact I have 2 brothers and a sister,
Hmm.
but I'm not going to match Mark's 6.
Are you oldest, youngest, middle?
Oldest.
Oh, cool. What's the spread between you and your youngest sibling?
About 12 years. With my sister and I grouped at the high end, about 2 years apart, and then my 2 brothers grouped together at the low end, 2 years apart.
Cool.
There's like an 8-year gap between my sister and my oldest younger brother.
Yeah, I have a sister that's a year older than me, and a brother that's, well, I think maybe somewhat more. I think I don't remember exactly how much. I think it's like 12 or 13 years younger than me.
I have one brother. He's 3 years older than me, and he actually is a real sports writer at a newspaper.
You write sports for a newspaper, right?
But I'm not a real sports writer.
Yes, you are. Inherently, if you do that, you are in fact a professional sports writer.
This is true, I suppose. But I usually think of myself as a part-time sports writer.
It's technically correct, which is, as we all know,
The best kind of
correct. Wait,
But
so
my brother actually does it, full time. He's actually a sports editor, so he does a lot of it, and then he's got 2 people that work for him. So
well, okay, I guess it's impressive. People who have underlings.
he likes to think so.
Yeah.
I run an entire newspaper, so I've got one up on him.
Oh, yeah. No kidding. This guy right here. You're like living the dream.
Sort of.
Yeah, well, as much as any of us. To say, for those of you that don't know, I'm the oldest of 7. Two sets of parents. So, but my dad had 6 of those kids. I mean, he didn't birth them because he's male. He sired them, as they say.
He didn't run into that race on Enterprise that where the male carries the baby.
Oh, Trip's wrist nipple. Yeah, that's the best one. I was like, that right there is
I
the
figured you'd
episode
like that.
that made me love Enterprise. And everybody's like, oh, no, don't. It gets better in the 3rd season. And so I was like, oh, I can't imagine how it's getting better in this. And they were wrong. It got worse. Started taking itself real seriously.
It is funny how there are sort of two camps of Enterprise fans: the ones who love the first 2 seasons, and the ones who love the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think actually what is probably more accurate is just the ones who love the last 2 seasons and then weirdos.
No, the weirdos are people like me who love the whole thing.
There are a lot of episodes in the first 2 seasons that are actually really cool. Like when he finds that race living on the rogue planet, that one was kind of interesting.
I don't remember that one. Oh!
It's the one where some sort of creature that appears to Captain Archer as a beautiful woman.
Yeah, that one where they got all
very
like
TOS.
vicious. And, yeah, and they were like seducing each other. It was like TOS on Skinamax or something.
Okay.
I might be very opinionated about my Star Trek. Just maybe.
You're in good company then.
I should tell you, so I don't know if you guys have heard, we have a roving gift of sorts, like it's an award at work, the Spock in the Box. And it's a Spock action figure, I think is the right term, in a box, signed by Leonard Nimoy, and people who go above and beyond or have done something particularly awesome are awarded it, and they get a little card, which people may have also heard as we call them the Elios, as in the lovely host or prior host, whomever, Priority 1. Anyway, so they get...
Or no, Elliot.
Yeah. Well, it's Elijah, but I don't know
or something
which
like that.
name he actually goes by. So anyway, the cards people get to keep. The Spock they just get to like have for the week or until the next person wins. I got a new edition for this tradition, and I think it's going to be the like super awesome, even more rare version of Spock, because this is an action figure of a character from one of the Emmy award-winning episodes.
Please tell me it's Threshold.
It is! Oh, yes, it's mutated Tom Paris, and it comes with 3 little salamander babies.
It's perfect. I love it.
Yes!
I can't believe they actually made a figure of that.
They did! And I saw that, and I was like, oh, yes, this must be mine! And actually, I'm going to buy another one so that I can take it out of the package. I'm going to leave one, and probably, if I see him ever, I'll try and get Robert Duncan McNeil to sign it, but I don't even care. And I am going to have those little salamander babies and put them on my desk. It's going to be so great.
I want to be in line with you at STLV this year when you get him to sign those. Because how much you want to bet you're gonna come up to him and give him these? He's gonna just put his hand over his face and go, "Oh God."
He won it. I mean, that's an Emmy award-winning episode.
I know.
And you know who it beat out?
I think I was the one who told you that.
You know who it beat out? It beat out Deep Space Nine. That's right. Deep Space Nine lost that year to Threshold. Yep. Oh, oh, yeah. Blackjack is like dying in chat. You know what?
Yeah.
Neener. It's a thing. Sorry. Okay.
All the time on Reddit, anytime Threshold comes up, I have to make a point of saying, guys, it's the Emmy award-winning episode, Threshold.
Right, exactly. That is how I refer to it.
That is how it must be referred to.
Gecko, by the way, Gecko. Oh yeah, ask him about Threshold. He just will shake his head at me. You know what he says? He's like, you like Star Trek for the wrong reasons, and I'm like, there's no wrong reasons, Al. I like him because it's good.
Now, didn't Salami at one point want to do a follow-up in Stowe to that episode?
I don't know if he did, but I
baby
sure
salamanders?
I sure did. I was like, we're doing Delta Quadrant? I mean, obviously we're going back to check on Baby Janeway, right?
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened yet. but I'd like to think that it will.
That will be my
really
favorite
do have
episode.
to wonder what happened with those things, though, because it's one of those very odd things because they don't really belong there, yet they are.
Right. Not just, I mean, that to me seems like prime directive. Like, aren't they not supposed to just, like, leave their own offspring alone to grow up on their own on some planet? Like, what? What are you thinking? That, and then the one that really gets salami is, which episode is it? Oh, the one where Harry Kim goes out the thing and he doesn't, he gets sucked out the, I guess,
the whole
you know what?
breach. Yeah.
Spoiler alert is no point. So little baby Wildman is stillborn, right? Or she dies very soon after.
Yeah.
And so, like,
And they get the one from the duplicate ship. And
right, so there's this duplicate ship. Number one, Harry Kim, from our timeline, dies. Duplicate Kim comes over, and then they just steal Naomi Wildman from the other universe. And they're like, oh, your baby's dead? Here, have this one. And she's like, oh, okay. Throw the other baby away. I got a baby.
If I remember right, it was a like a subspace fold that created a duplicate of Voyager. It wasn't an alternate universe.
Deadlock is the name of the episode. Thank you, Pax Federatica, for getting that for us. But yeah, I loved that you guys went back to that.
But how can they just...
With Dust to Dust, it was great.
How can you just be okay with that? Like, you just stole someone else's baby.
Technically it was herself.
Oh, come on. It's creepy. It's creepy.
Of course, it's a Vidian episode. It was going to be creepy.
Oh, I love
it.
You know what I bet, though?
The Vidian episodes was creepy.
I'm willing to bet that, throughout the whole rest of the journey, and probably to this day, Harry Kim's shipmates are always razzing him about this. Oh, I don't have to do what you say. You're from another timeline, buddy.
You know what they're razzing him about?
Is dead.
They're razzing him about 7 of 9 throwing herself at him and him declining. Jeez.
Yeah, he got scared and it's like, wait, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah. He's like, wait, oh God, I don't know what to do. It's a girl. Does not compute.
Obviously, he never took the class at the academy from Will Riker. That.
Well, I mean, what he needed to do is take lessons from Captain Kirk. If anybody goes to YouTube and looks up Captain Kirk, how to kiss a lady, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's glorious. It's from the Gamesters of Triskelion episode.
There's one running joke that half of the Klingon Empire is secretly a descendant of Captain Kirk.
Just half?
Well, see, this includes the entire Empire, so, Gorn and Noskins...
Oh, right! Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I don't think Gordon Noskins would be quite his style.
I saw him... I mean, he's at least familiar with Born. You never know what the Gorn ladies look like.
Maybe that was a Gorn.
We don't know that wasn't a Gorn lady.
I contended it was. I contend all the Gorn in our game are women. Just don't know because we haven't taken the time to look in their cloacas and.
Ooh, that reminds me. Have they made a decision about whether they're going to add female Lethians or Nausicaans?
I don't know. I think it'd probably be a lot of art, but I don't know if that's true.
Well, we haven't gotten any new races since Legacy Romulus, so I'm guessing that's not quite on your guys' radar at the moment.
Yeah. The thing, we like new races, but they're actually really expensive in the terms of development, because you have to make sure that all the costume parts work, and you have
Yeah.
to. It's not just like face textures, for instance, right? But also for swimsuits, there's the like complete body texture, if you will, that we're still working on.
Yeah, because you guys never figured on needing that in the first when you were
Right.
first building those.
Exactly. We didn't even have
That
at
wasn't
that
added
time.
until what, like 3 years ago.
At that time, we didn't even have like open jackets. If I recall, like we
Yeah.
didn't have anything that would show.
That was in a later edition.
Yeah, we didn't even show
Oh.
chest. So we had the legs for the trills, but that was it.
Well, one thing that I noticed when I created the character I'm playing right now is that when you use the Borg infected complexion, it doesn't even show on your hands.
Yep. Exactly. No, that's one of the because that's a launch one, right? So
Yeah.
all this stuff from launch, we're going back to it, and I don't know the state of it. I know the character artists have worked on it, so it's in some way being dealt with, but I don't know the state of it. Like I don't know if they ever finished it or, you know.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the best things going on the forums is this huge long thread about costume issues. That gets a lot of interaction from the costume team, and it's been great, and they've gotten a lot of fixes in because of it, I think.
Yeah, Joe, I know is on there a lot. I actually sent. I'll say this: when I see bugs, if I can fix them, I will. So I was trying to fix one, and I was just like, I don't even know how this is happening. Oh well, I guess that's a sign. It's not going to be me that fixes this one, but because I don't.
'Cause you wouldn't want to make it worse, right?
Right, like make it so things can't be published because you think that a vase isn't a building, you know. Sorry again.
No, I mean that was a weird one.
Yeah.
No, the asset you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just looking through the buildings today and saw that, and I was like, hey, there's a base in there.
Yeah.
So
Oh, there.
And but that reminds me that you guys never did add the memory alpha interior to the Foundry, did you?
No, we didn't add it even to the game. It was basically gutted and revamped, and maybe like a week or two from being completed, and then we couldn't finish it because, was that for Legacy of Romulus? I don't remember when that was for, but I remember whatever else it was we were working on. We had somebody leave, and so you know.
It was at the same time as the Great Crafting revamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you no longer needed to actually go there to do your
Right.
crafting.
So we were working on it anyway, and we were going to leave it there. And then, given that we were revamping crafting, it was the easiest thing for us to like say, okay, nope. When someone, when the person left, we're like, okay, you can go work on this instead. So hopefully, the revamped one will make it in eventually. I would add the old one, but like I said, it was gutted basically.
yeah,
I
so yeah,
can
the back-
imagine you have a few of those projects lying about that somebody started and never got finished for any number of reasons.
I mean, I don't think there are many because we're better at planning now in general. Because
That's
back in the day, that was like, well, we didn't know how long it would take us to make things, or it was easier for things to go over scope. And, after 6 years, we have a better idea of how long it takes to make things. And the variable there is like who is making it and what their strengths and weaknesses are. But, so back there are some like launch or around that era stuff that may have gotten cut. Like I know I've seen the leakers who think that there's like some episode that's like all but done, and it's like no. I mean, there may have been bare bones for it, but that was bare bones. Like I know the one they're talking about, and they were all like the characters. There was no art. They were all crash test dummies. Like that's our default character costume is crash test dummy. So
actually,
I believe the
I've
name that
seen
was floating around was Children of Khan.
yeah, I think
yeah,
I
But,
remember.
but that's been sort of a legend for years.
Right, like that's what I'm saying. So people think that. I mean, man,
Well-
if we had an episode just like that close to being done,
Yeah,
if
surely
it was
you'd
any
finish
good, we would totally just finish it, and then hey, we
Well-
actually for very little time spent got a great thing.
So the way I remember it, it got found by those people who like rummaging around in the game code looking for upcoming things that haven't been released yet.
Yeah, I think
That
you mean the people who break the terms of service and reverse engineer. Yeah.
well, I'm not sure that's the right word for it, but probably.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, we've actually got something from Children of Khan in the Foundry. It's one of the
map.
backdrops
Yeah.
for the USS
Well,
Asgard.
Yeah.
Is it oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean honestly though, like you think of return on investment, if there was something that we could spend like a tiny amount of time on to just finish it up and put it out and have like new stuff, like that would be brilliant of us and we would jump on that as soon as we could. But the fact is like there's a reason that these things might not be out there.
Yeah.
You know, they're like bad.
All the stories I'd heard about how complete it was basically that maps existed for it and nothing else. More or less.
Even that.
Yeah,
Even
I would say maybe. I'm trying to
Anyway.
remember.
But obviously, you guys have moved on a long way from that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing with that you mentioned about the crash test dummy animation, I actually figured out how to get that to appear on normal maps. You just turn the character detail distance all the way down and go to some place like Starfleet Academy where you can see people that are standing like 60 feet away from you. And when they're past a certain distance, it'll use one of those models for them.
Yeah, we call that the body sock. I don't know if that's a standard term or a cryptic term. There you go.
I did notice that there are several different colors of them, but they all have a kind of like a male mannequin look to them.
Yeah. I called them a thug. That's what I thought they looked like. They looked like they were gonna come punch you in the face.
So, I do wanted to ask, just because I'll get a lot of flack if we don't bring it up. You mentioned potentially a new Foundry feature being put on the schedule.
Oh yeah.
In the Priority 1 interview.
Yeah, it was on the schedule.
Are you allowed to talk about it all, or is it like too far out, too hush hush, may not happen?
Well, it was on the schedule for right now, and then guess what?
Schedule changed.
Yeah, so I'm trying to keep
it
them
happens.
right there on the schedule, even if it's just pushed out. But no, I can't really talk about it because if it never comes to fruition, you guys will like tar and feather us.
No, we
So,
won't.
Yeah.
We'll
It's-
just ask you about
I'll
it.
just
Again,
say that
repeatedly.
it's something you guys have asked for, and something that we're trying to take from Neverwinter. It is not the 3D editor. I will tell you
No, I
that
kind of
straight
figured
up.
that one wasn't going to
I
happen.
figured that one was a really tough one to get.
That would. I've argued it would be like the awesomest thing, but they don't have the concept of space maps, and so I think inherently, since we have two different regions, we have ground and space, that things that involve the maps and stuff are just more time consuming to transfer. So this one, it's a minor thing, but you guys have asked for it, and so I'm hoping.
Okay, I guess this also means that it's not the ability to make PvP maps in Foundry.
No.
I'm sure that would be a lot of work.
I mean, our PvP system is. The back end is just so bad.
But labyrinthine complexity?
Like, no, I think that would be a compliment.
Oh boy.
Well, you know, we have
Then
long gotten used to the idea of, you know, not getting a lot of schedule time.
It makes me sad. But honestly, it would still be on the schedule had with all we did a lot of performance stuff recently. And it's ongoing, but I think this thing is going to if it's not in Triple already, it's going there very soon to really completely rewrote some of the back end to make the performance like a bajillion times better. But because of that, you know, we spent programmer time on that, and it ended up going over the estimated time. So we're not going to cut that task short to get back to the Foundry. I mean,
well, that's important. I mean, important for all players, for Foundry authors included.
Yeah.
And we actually really appreciate that you let us know that it did get pushed.
Yeah, it's still on the schedule. It's just not at the original timeline. So I'll say that.
That's cool.
So is it the ability to toggle asset states?
I'm not saying.
Well, she's not going to tell
then.
you, so.
Don't worry, I'm sure there will be a very nice rampant speculation thread on the
Right?
forums.
What would you
there
do
already
if I
is.
just answered all your questions? You'd have nothing
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
You'd have
good
nothing
point.
to speculate about.
Yeah,
That'd
so
be
you'd
crazy.
have to speculate, and then that will entertain us. Anyway. Oh, there's a lot of people in chat are not happy with me right now. That's okay. It says we're never going to match Neverwinter's Foundry. That's true, because
You know, I don't
Neverwinter doesn't
want
have space in
Neverwinter's
their
Foundry.
Foundry. So.
I have tried to use Neverwinter's Foundry, and the interface it's too alien to me. I like Stowe's interface so much better.
Yeah, I actually do too, but I mean, I feel like I'm biased because it's like that's what I learned. That makes sense?
Yeah, and that's probably where I'm coming from too. I mean, that's what I learned the tool on, and it's hard to learn a slightly different kind of the tool, you know?
Yeah. Change is scary.
Yeah, and I don't like it.
Neverwinter's Foundry has like a few cool things, but beyond that,
It has lots of good bells and whistles, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's got more tricks, but I don't feel like it's better. I mean, I especially feel like Stowe's Foundry, especially the content that comes out of Stowe's Foundry, has a much greater depth to it, as well as quite a few authors who are far more willing to push the limits of what it can do.
Yeah. Oh God, you seriously still impress us. I've been I mean, I think. Well, maybe you guys, your audience doesn't know, but I've been trying to live stream every Sunday, and I'm very frequently playing Foundry missions. So,
Nice.
call to all authors: if you want me to play your mission, let me know. Be warned. I like to do funny voices and am fairly irreverent. So if you
Get you a good comedy mission.
if you are like very protective of your like IP, so to speak, and your story, and you want people to take it seriously, don't recommend it to me. Because
well, I actually wrote a specific mission with the idea of it not being taken seriously because, well, it's basically just a series of jumping puzzles, and you can't. There's nothing really to do besides go around on this planet and try to get to this box in one corner of the map.
Although it could be kind of funny to watch somebody try to do that live, especially if it was really hard.
oh, I bet I could manage it. I'm usually playing on my dev account.
I took one of
dev magic.
those maps with the giant rock mushrooms, added a ramp so that you can climb up on top of one of the rock mushrooms, and then you have to jump from rock mushroom to rock mushroom to get to the corner of the map in the box.
You're evil.
I grew up playing the Mario games, so it just kind of...
There's a specific reason why I loaded this work-in-progress version of this map up with invisible walls everywhere. It's because I know Mark likes to find holes in things and jump on things and jump off of things. So if him and Primar both as well, they love to explore every possible inch of a map and find anything you can jump off of. So any Foundry authors that are listening, have them test your mission.
One of the things that someone did is they made a Romulan city, and there was this one corner of the map where they left this small gap that you could crawl through the wall and look at the city from the outside. Which, of course, spoiled the illusion of it being a complete city.
We're all about illusion here in the Foundry. Making things bigger than they are, making them look bigger than they are. All kinds of crazy stuff like that.
That's a trick that's old as gaming, or as 3D gaming anyway.
Talking about your funny voices in the chat room here.
Mm-hmm.
They say you occasionally drag people in to help you with some funny voices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the best.
Which is always good.
The best ever. Jenna, a sarcasm detector, who, for some reason, I don't know why, so we had a Saurian character, and if you haven't heard him, he's got like a real deep, gravelly voice. But the voice he did for the Saurian was very, very much like falsetto and up here. And oh my gosh, it was. I cannot do it justice. I cannot do it. I can't. It was glorious. Glorious.
Should have gotten him to play President Oatcake.
There we go.
No. He was voicing Pedro. My bridge officer, Pedro. Pedro, the more I voice him, the more he sounds like Cheech. And then Napoleon started out sounding like, gosh, but now Napoleon is fabulous. So, my Cation voices? Hold on. I have to, well, whatever, I'll wait. It's getting dark in here.
Gotta get in the zone.
We're sitting in the dark together, guys. Ooh.
It was a dark and stormy night.
No, it's not stormy. It's gorgeous. It was like 70. Well, you could see that. The Super Bowl's on. You could just see the weather. There. Oh my gosh.
There's only like one person actually watching it in our chat room. The rest of us are not even.
My Cation voices. What would my Cation voice sound like? Oh my god. Okay, so my Cation voice would totally sound like that. She'd be like super excited and be like, oh my god, you guys! Okay, so there's like monsters in there. Put your phasers on stun. That would be my Cation voice.
Well, I will be sure to link to your Twitch channel in the show notes.
Absolutely.
No, you don't have to do that. See, I'm still live streaming today. I'm just, crashing your party. Sorry, guys. I hope you didn't have any serious plans.
No, not at all.
It's one of my great
We're just celebrating
flaws
birthday, that's all.
that I crack myself up, number one, more than anyone else. And number two, more than I crack anyone else up, too. Basically, there is no one funnier to me than me. Well, my mom. But that's because we have the same sense of humor.
So that's where you got it from.
Yeah. That's who you can blame. Oh, my project is gone.
What?
I went into the
Your
Foundry,
project,
you
huh?
guys. And
Oh.
my project is gone.
Are you on the right account?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's there. It's just empty. How many people, show of hands,
Contact QA.
how many people, I think what happened actually is that it broke because I just stupid technical reasons that were valid. How many people ever played one of my Foundry missions? I have 2 that were somewhat known. One called The Bloodening, and the other was Epic Saga. Anybody?
Doesn't sound familiar to me.
Yeah. So I don't remember the plot of The Bloodening. I just really liked the name. And then Epic Saga. You land on this planet. Well, I forget the space part, but you're on this planet and it's very green and lush and forest, and you see this like small guy, who's he's just a little diminutive, and he's kind of dressed in green, and he's got pointy ears, and you're like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, dude, this jerk Ganondorf just went off with this girl I like, Zelda. Anyway.
That's starting to sound a little familiar.
Yeah, it's Epic Saga. It takes place on this, the planet's called Hyrule. Yeah, anyway.
Mm-hmm. And you completely made this all up off the top of your head, right?
Yeah. I think it's pretty good.
Do we need to review it on the show?
Oh, it's gone now. Maybe it's still on Tribble. It was a Tribble one.
Oh, well, that's definitely gone then.
Wiped then. Yeah.
Well, did it exist on Tribble prior to Legacy of Romulus?
Oh, yeah.
And then it's gone. Because, one thing I noticed in Legacy of Romulus...
Oh, yeah, we wiped the database, yeah.
Yeah, but you also deleted my Foundry character and all my Foundry missions.
Because we wiped the database.
All of the database.
All of it.
It's one database. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
But it had to happen.
Because... Oh my gosh, look at this. I still have one. It's not published. I was published and I have plays. I have reviews on it. Hold on. This is good. I love how Rogue Enterprise does his reviews. Let me tell you. Let me walk you through. Let me walk you through this mission. It's called Season 4 First. You guys can take a guess at when it was made and why.
To test whether the Foundry worked after Season 4 downtime was over.
Yeah. So then it says description: light on pretty much everything. Test mission. Okay. You're with me so far.
Yeah.
So you're in space, and I think what you do is you fly to a planet. Let's see. What's my story flow say? It's as I feared, sir. The ship debris. Oh wait, nope. Hold on. What's my mission grant? Go. Admiral Quinn has asked you to investigate a distress signal coming from the Arahai system in the Alpha Centauri sector block. So you go there, and then, there's a fight, and you scan some debris. And so it says, I fear the ship debris and the Gorn patrol we face indicate a hostile presence in this system. I recommend we head to the surface of the planet to gather more intel. By the way, my ground map, the layout is phenomenal. So then you go onto the ground, and you run into this character, Zero, and she says, oh, hi, to shreds, you say. And then some guys spawn in, and you have to protect her and kill them. And then you get a message from your ship. I'm not reading any other enemy signals on the planet. Are we done here? That's the mission. Right? Okay. I would think
it's a good little test mission.
Obvious that I'm real serious about this, right? Oh, I do actually make it so that it's very unlikely you'll survive because the guys spawn in and there's like 3 encounters right on top of you. Whatever. So one guy says too easy. That was a pretty good scenario. Then I have not bad, nice combo of space and ground, maybe a bit too fast. Here you go. Here's the 2 that I love. You need to clearly state what the objectives are in order for the mission to move forward. For example, if I'm supposed to patrol an area, I will patrol an area and maybe bypass a group of enemies you have there in favor of moving the mission forward. Okay? Then the other one, I know it was only a test, but a few critical observations. Most significantly, after accepting the mission, I couldn't view in the mission log where I was supposed to go. I had forgotten, so had to drop and retake it. Kudos on the Futurama reference. But there you go. So I got very bad reviews on my one mission.
These are actually things that we talk about a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard life.
It is. My favorite is always when you get somebody who says in their review, the mission was too hard. And then right above them, the next review says, mission was too easy.
Right? Do you know what that makes me think of? We had this all, we were like, okay, well, let's get some of our team together, and we're like, okay, we're going to go over what do you think can be improved in the game? What do you think we should focus on? And the guy's like, one guy is like, well, our ground combat, he said, I've got too many powers. There's just so many things, and I'm like clicking on all of them, and I don't know what all of them do, and I just want fewer powers. And then then a couple people say something, and then somebody says, our ground combat, there's not enough stuff for me to do. I want more powers, more stuff that I can do. And I'm just like, so I stopped at that moment. I'm like, I want you guys to pay attention right here. You're saying you want more powers. He's saying he has too many. These are mutually exclusive. So there you go. This is why there's an issue that cannot be fixed, right? No matter what, you're upsetting someone.
This is why the customer
one thing
is not always right.
One thing someone told me once is that when you take all of the things people say and you look to see what's the happy medium between them, and if you're already there, then you're good, even if no one tells you they like it the way it is.
Well, I mean...
Well, either that or you just sort of pick one and run with it.
Yeah, I think, like, ground combat's not the greatest example, but in general, that's how it... And then the other thing you have is that suppose that we did listen to the first guy who said we have too many powers, right? Then the other guy's going to say, ugh, they're not listening to my feedback. They're ignoring me.
Pretty much.
And it's like, no, we didn't ignore you. I mean, we didn't do what you said, but we heard you say it. We paid attention. This is the best part. Is like, I'm explaining this to my coworkers. So, like, we explained this to y'all, but I was surprised that I'd have to explain that to my coworkers. That us not taking their advice is not the same thing as us not listening to it.
Oh, yeah.
You guys never have to deal with that, though, I'm sure. I mean, I bet everybody is just like, this was perfect. This was, I never hear people say, I could do that in 15 minutes in the Foundry.
Well, anyone who says that doesn't know the Foundry, because anything worth doing takes a lot more than 15 minutes.
I was going to say, I think the running length is 2 years for me to make a mission.
Well, I mean, me personally, that jumping puzzle mission I mentioned earlier, I think I worked on it for 2 months before I was done with it. And all I really placed on the map was a dozen rocks. That's it. I placed a dozen assets on the map. And I gave the player instructions on how you can possibly complete the map. And that was it.
You could make, I mean, I've made a mission in 15 minutes in the Foundry, but I wouldn't want to play it.
It probably wasn't in any way interesting.
No. I mean, the dialogue was probably pretty interesting, at least to me, but, that's if you like Simpsons and Futurama quotes. And
if writing enough funny dialogue for a mission, you can do that in 15 minutes, but you won't have time to make maps.
Right. Well, I think the other thing is actually, I joked around with my epic saga, which yes, obviously rip off of Legend of Zelda. So given that I had a story all ready to start with, I didn't have to come up with anything. I just had to think, okay, what happened in Legend of Zelda, and how do I make that in the Foundry? That still took me ages. And it wasn't even good when I was done. Mostly because I ran out of steam and I had to stop because I was on to other testing. But now we're talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion. I don't know that show. Sorry, guys.
It's from Japan.
Oh yeah.
At first glance, you think it's about giant robots, but then you later find out that it's not actually robots. And then that's where the story gets weird.
Like that guy who turns into a panda?
I think that's a different TV show.
It is. It's Ranma and Half.
Yeah, that one.
I never watched that either.
I couldn't tell you anything about anime. I do not watch it either. So
Okay, wait. This is an important question for my interview. TV shows that you're watching and loving right now. Just one from each of you, please.
A lot of stuff is off, but I just about to finish up Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
excellent show.
That's the animated one.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of two animated ones. I'll figure out how to go watch Rebels later.
Okay.
All right. I just finished Downton Abbey.
Ah,
Love that show.
I had to stop
Shame it's
watching
gone,
it.
but
I got too angry with those two jerks in the first season who were all their evil plotting. I just couldn't handle it. Anyway.
they were rather evil. Yes.
I heard their up-ins came, but it's done.
For me, kind of a toss-up between Steven Universe or Total Drama.
Okay, I've heard of neither of those. What's the elevator pitch?
Steven Universe is basically it's an alternate reality where Earth is being invaded by extraterrestrials who are mineral species. Except that the invasion started 5,000 years ago. And it's kind of like the fallout of a war between two different factions of the aliens. And, well, that's where it gets complicated.
Huh.
Yeah, no kidding.
In one episode, they showed a map of the Earth as it is in that universe. And there are several rather large differences from the map you see in the way it actually is in real life. One of which is there's a giant hole where Siberia should be.
Like hole, as in like crater?
Yeah. It's kind of like, almost like something really big exploded over there, and then the ocean filled in the crater.
We're getting some interesting answers in our chat room. We've got Vikings. We've got Top Gear, which is not on the air right now. So how could you be watching that?
Netflix. I don't even have
Unless you're
cable.
going back. We've got The Walking Dead. Of course, Captain P.F. Dennis is a huge Walking Dead fan. We've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We've got Manhattan, which I don't know what the show is about, but I know it just got canceled.
I think it's about the Manhattan Project.
Oh. That's a shame. I would have been interested in that. Sir Boulevard says something I can't possibly pronounce, which is the story of a time-traveling pizza delivery guy who goes back 30 years to stop the murder of a classmate by a serial killer.
Boku Dake Inai Machi.
Yeah.
I wasn't even going to attempt that.
It's exactly as it's spelled, actually. Well, if you know how the Italians and Spaniards and Japanese pronounce their vowels, they're all the same.
Yeah, Japanese.
I was like, I'm going to attempt to pronounce this, and it's going to come out sounding like Inagata Devita or something.
Do you know what that actually... That's like the California pronunciation of something. It's in the Garden of Eden. So you imagine a Californian, well, probably a drunk Californian trying to say in the Garden of Eden, it'd come out in a Garden of Eden.
Well, the best one is when on The Simpsons, classic Simpsons, 90s
Yes!
stuff, where Bart switches the hymnal in church with Inagata Davida.
Oh God, that's so good. We used to make out to this hymn. Oh,
Classic Simpsons.
oh God, that was good.
So, Zero, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
We have talked about our first encounters with Stowe, but what was your first encounter with Stowe?
Oh. Okay. I'll tell you two stories. They're short. Like me. Ha. Anyway, so I started at Cryptic in July of 2009. And that was before Champions launch. And so all of QA, because I was hired in QA, was working on Champions, with the exception of a few people. Salami was QA for Star Trek at the time, and then maybe one other person, maybe Frost, I think, Cryptic Frost, who's also not here because it's Kestrel's spouse. But anyway, so I think they were on Star Trek, but the rest of us were all on Champions. And I had this character that I made that I loved, Dual Blades, and it was his name was Smooth Criminal, and he looked like a now unfortunately deceased pop star from a video where he's dressed kind of like a gangster from the 20s. Smooth Criminal. Anyway, Dual Blades, loved it, right? And I was like, yeah! And I'm like mowing down people. And change is scary. So they're like, oh, you're going to be on Star Trek. And I was like, no! Oh, God, I don't want to be on Star Trek. Now, I didn't say that because, I needed
That's
to
not
keep
something
my
you
job.
say when you're, yeah.
Yeah. But I was just like, no, oh, God, horrible. That was my thoughts. And I was like, oh, well, okay, it'll be all right. I liked that show. That show being Star Trek, not any of the horrible ones that have semicolons in their names. Anyway, just kidding. I did watch the originals, that's it. But, okay, at that point, that was it. Anyway, so then we fast forward. So we're doing our training. There were 4 of us out of a team of, 30 QA. There were 4 of us that were transitioning over to Star Trek first. And the idea being that we would start there, and then they would train us, and then we'd help train everyone else. So I was one of those 4. And the guy who was teaching us was showing us how to get around, showing us the UI, which was, oh God, horrible back then. Because pre-launch, this was 6 months before launch, maybe a little more. And he was jumping the whole time, just literally. Just when he was walking around, he was jumping the whole time. So I actually thought that you had to. And so if you ever see me play, I'm pretty much jumping the whole time when I'm running, because I know you don't have to, but yeah.
I've actually seen a lot of players do that. On some maps, it's actually a good idea simply because there's so many random objects you can trip on.
Yeah.
I used to know a couple of WoW players that did that constantly.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's from Mario days where you would jump everywhere. Who jumped? Okay, you all played Mario, I'm sure. Who jumped? Were you always jumping?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, there was always holes in the way.
Well,
Well,
most of the
you
time,
kind of
yeah.
had to, because this was this is one of those Nintendo hard games where if you step in the water, you die.
Yeah. They make very few games that difficult. Even the new Marios are not that. There's this one I was playing on my DS or 3DS where if you died trying to get past a level, if you died 3 times, they would spawn a box at the start that gave you the flying, like the raccoon, and permanent flying. So you could just like fly over the top of the whole map. Like, are you kidding me? Kids these days.
They don't know how good they have it.
When I was a kid.
Did you ever play Did you ever play the Wario Land Game Boy game?
Oh,
In that one, your character is literally immortal. You can't die. It's just that the bosses would have ways of teleporting you back to the start, so you had to redo the entire level.
I think we're getting distracted from your story.
no, that was it.
Oh, okay.
That was it. I have to jump all the time. But I actually, so, of course, perhaps, obviously, love Star Trek Online now. And it wasn't, I mean, it didn't take long. It was really just like fear of change. And I have since watched much more Star Trek than I had previously seen. Still hold firm to the Kirk is best belief.
That reminds me, did you ever get around to watching the animated series?
No. Because I think we
Very
don't
few
have
do.
that one.
I think it's on Netflix.
No.
I
Pretty sure
have
it's
it on
not.
DVD.
Let me check. There's this great site, canistream.it. Do you guys know it? It's amazing.
It's going on my favorites, that's for sure.
canistream.it, and you could search Can I Stream It? It'll tell you where it's streaming and blah, blah, blah.
Yep, it is on Netflix.
What?
I actually have Netflix right now, so I may just watch that.
Well, both 2 seasons.
Normally I do Amazon Prime, but I had to grab Netflix to watch Jessica Jones and then keeping it till the new season of Daredevil, so might as well use it.
Yep.
Oh, this isn't dancing.
I've heard many things about the animated series over the years, and it'll be interesting to actually watch it.
The animation quality was typical for cartoons made in that time period. I mean, you watch the Herculoids, which are made about the same time, and actually I think they were made by the same animation studio. But yeah, it looks more or less the same.
Man, I can't wait to watch this. So excited.
2 whole seasons of Kirk you haven't seen.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's canon.
I
I think it's soft canon.
Semi sort
the
of
canon
canon.
status on that has varied several times. Because when it was originally made, Roddenberry basically made it considered to be canon until he later on went with and made TNG and Deep Space Nine. Well, actually, no, not. He died before getting to DS9, but when he was making TNG, he decided to make it non-canon because he felt it was too silly or something. Which, to be honest, wasn't sillier than what he did in TOS, but...
Exactly. That's why I'm going to love this.
Well, the animated series gave us Cations, and those are canon, so take what you will.
But
Also, like someone in the chat room mentioned, it also gave us Berengarian dragons.
Well, now we all have our homework. We'll all have to watch the animated series now.
And the Kzinti, right?
Yeah,
I think it was at the Kzinti, but they were from some other IP.
They're
weren't they?
Larry Niven. Because
Yeah.
we can't use them. I knew
Yeah.
That's
that.
why you guys had to make up the Ferocins.
Larry Niven basically gave them permission to use them for one episode, I think, and to use them again would require getting permission from Larry Niven for another episode.
Yeah.
And honestly, the one episode that they did have them in, that one was written by Larry Niven anyways.
It's like the Guardian.
Yeah.
We had to pay special to have the Guardian.
And had to remove it from the Foundry version of that map.
Uh-huh. Just like why people are not getting most of the celebrities in
Yes.
Foundry. Hope that's understandable.
Hey, I'll just use Perry Jim and call it good.
Right? Perry Jim. Oh, so good. So
He's the best character ever.
I don't know. Nuvok is pretty good, too. I actually went crazy for a while. Crazier for a while, coming up with really fantastic, not really portmanteau, but I think you know what I mean if I say that. So Tuvix obviously was taken, so Nuvok, okay, then I actually came up with 3 Vix. I don't know what that was going to be, but I liked the name of it. And then I came up with Sevway, which was actually, you think 7 of 9 and Janeway. No. It was 7 of 9 and a Segway. So it was like, I have actually I still have the JPEGs I gathered to make a version of that one. And, who is the other one? Something with Chakotay. Anyway, it's great. Have fun doing that sometime. You'll come up with great things. I do that with animals, like Butterflelephant, and Kangaroo Elephant and Butterflaligator, and Jaguarilla. Seriously, this is how I amuse myself.
Well, we are just about at the end of our time limit here, but I want to leave you with one thought, Zero, that occurred to me earlier in the show. If someone on your staff would take a little time and give us some salamanders for the Foundry, we will make that mission about the Janeway salamanders. We'll make that mission for you.
Thank you.
We'll get it done.
Okay, here's the other thing I want then. Here's the other thing I want.
Go for it.
Because they won't make it for me. It's a fantastic freaking story. I'll give it to you for free. You take attack. It's a space station with rogue scientists, and they're doing testing on tribbles, and they're making all sorts of things. And there's attack tribbles and like ghosts of tribbles past. And anyway, it writes itself.
It sounds like an origin story for Epos. Epos are just attack tribbles.
Well, didn't Boulevard already make a mission where he had genetically engineered Epos that were really reskinned Fekleri?
I believe he did.
Yes, he was all about the attack Epos.
I actually had some in one of my missions too.
Right on. Awesome.
But anyway, Dragoon, if you want to throw up our contact info.
Okay. That is not the contact info.
Oh.
We can be reached at email at foundryroundtable@live.com. We are also on Twitter at foundryroundtab. Drogyn can be reached at Drogyn1701. Mark can be reached at Markhawkman, and I, of course, can be reached at Greendragoon. And Zero, you have a new Twitter handle, don't you?
Oh, yes. It's my name, Maria Rosseau. Have fun with that one, because nobody can spell it right. Yeah!
Anyone who took French class can spell that.
No. You're thinking of Rousseau. Rosseau is his own bastardized version of the name.
Really?
Because apparently my family is descended from bastards. No, I'm not joking. I'll tweet it later. You can see.
It's just with an O instead of an E.
Is it Cajun French or something?
No, I'll tweet it, because otherwise we'll be here for another hour.
Well, we would definitely enjoy spending another hour with you, but we do try and keep these to a good 2 hours, so that will be it for us for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you everyone in the chat room for joining us, and we look forward to another year.
Yay!
Yes, I'm super excited. 50 years of Star Trek.
This is a great year. Our 3rd anniversary, 50 years of Star Trek, 6th year of Stowe.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thanks, guys. You are all the best, and I love you all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Thank you very much, and
it's always great having you on the show.
always great.
Thanks.
But for now, we will say goodnight.
Good
Good night.